All right. I am so excited to get to just chat tonight on our kind of normal Tuesday night call. We're going to talk about energy and momentum tonight. And before I kind of dive into my little spiel, I thought, what better person to hop on and chat with us tonight than Shannon, who, in my eyes, has kind of turned a corner in that space of funneling a new energy into her business. I feel like she is absolutely in energy momentum in her business. She ranked up to senior silver last month. She earned the iWatch, and I have just seen a completely different side of her. She's been doing this with me for probably 4 or 5 months, maybe a little longer than that, with a toe in the water here and there. But there was something that flipped for her last month. And I just saw a different side of her come out. She started having conversations differently. She started interacting in our group differently. And so I'm excited to hear from her just personally as to what kind of flipped, what mindset changes, and just kind of what internal changes she's noticed over the past month and a half. So Shannon, I'm going to let you unmic and share a little bit with us.
Okay. Hey. Okay. So I think as I've thought about this, Chelsea asked me this a couple weeks ago. And I think if I look back, what it really came down to was there was probably a month and a half ago that Chelsea sent out a message. And I think it was like on a Sunday night. And it was like, you said you wanted to do this. Do you really want to do this? Because if you do, I want to mentor you. And my just immediate reaction was like 100% yes. And so I was I was excited. I'm a very emotional being, and so a lot of my decisions are made on how I feel. And I just immediately when she sent that, the answer was yes. There wasn't even I just like texted her back instantly. And then she had us fill out a form. And one of the questions was, um, gosh, I hope I don't cry, you guys. But it was like, do you think you can do this? What is holding you back? And I read through everything and I answered all the other questions, and I did not want to fill that one out. And as I started filling it out, that is just as I wrote it, I got emotional and started realizing I'm in my own way and I do not have the belief that I can do this. Um, and I had this flashback of I had done hair for 20 years and I knew it was time to move on. And I got my real estate license and I was terrified. Like, who is going to trust me to sell their house? I've cut hair for 20 years. So like, there's no one less qualified to do real estate. And I was so hard on myself. And so I did this toe dipping thing and I kept working in the salon partly because of money. And there just became a very definitive moment that I had to make a decision. And I quit hair that day and I started real estate. And I went all in and my business completely changed. And I could see that moment in my mind's eye that this is the same. Um, that this is never going to work if I am like, I really want to be a diamond, but I'm going to pick up real estate if this doesn't work out. Or go back and do hair or do all of the other things that I was feeling. And I'm still terrified. But I just made the decision if I'm going to do this, I have to do this. And I changed the way that I talked and I started listening to podcasts. And one of the very first podcasts I listened to was, what do you need to stop doing? And we'll just be real for a moment. My list of what I needed to stop doing is so much longer than what I needed to start doing. I've stopped watching Netflix. I'm a binge Netflix girl. I don't think I have turned on my TV since I filled out that paper because it's like if I have time to watch Netflix, I have time to do Plexus. And I am trying to post every day and be more real and stop copying other people's posts and doing someone else's of just, I told Erica the other day, I had this idea. If you guys know I'm single, but I'm like, if I went on a blind date, like what would the questions be? Like if somebody came on my page, what would they find out about me? And so I've tried to just shift my whole mindset, and I was so excited to hit my first rank. And there was a brief moment afterwards where I felt like there's so far to go, and it really is intimidating because you hit the very first one and it's like so exciting, but on a scale of where I want to go and where I am, I felt like there was such a massive gap. But I've just decided that the only way I can truly say this worked or didn't work is if I put my entire heart and soul into this. And so I was excited last week because I've done real estate for 7 years, and Ethan had to go talk to a teacher and he was telling me how it went. And I think he was trying to figure out his parent situation because there was something going on in class. And he's like, what does your mom and dad do? And he said, no, it's just my mom. And he's like, what does she do? She's like, oh, she sells real estate and Plexus. And I just like had a moment that I was like, you told him I sold Plexus? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, what is that? And he's like, it's a probiotic. And I was like, okay, we're talking about it different. And so I have a really hard time. Sorry, I don't want to ramble too long. I have a really hard time not knowing the answers. I'm someone who wants to be confident and I want to know all the things. And I told Chelsea I had this moment last week of that is a roadblock for me for getting in my own way. So I've started calling Steph and I've started calling Chelsea and I've started getting on the group and texting and just working on anyone I talk to, getting on a three-way, anyone I talk to, getting on a Zoom, because I don't know what I'm doing. I told Chelsea, I have this like, I'm going all the way. I'm not sure how to get there, but let's go. And so it's just been this empowering feeling for me to be surrounded with women that are so positive. Real estate has been incredibly lonely, and this has been a game changer to just be with like-minded people that we're all trying to win and get there together. And so I'm trying to just show up constantly in social media and showing up in real life and not being like, I sound like this, which is kind of how I felt up until then. So I think that's it in a nutshell, is realizing each level of this is going to demand another version of myself. And so it's been really important for me to realize my belief in myself and the roadblocks I have, and like wanting to know all the things, wanting a perfect Instagram, wanting a perfect reel. It's just never going to happen. So we're just going to get it up messy and we're just going to get it up misspelled, and it's okay. So
I love that. Something that Stephanie's always said to me is new levels, new devils. And it's so true. Like it never ends. It never ends. Like you're gonna be sitting one day running this team call all on your own, and you're gonna be dealing with a whole nother set of challenges. But the beauty of that is that that's gonna help you, like you said, grow into the next version of yourself. And that's what this is really about. And when we're gonna talk about momentum and energy here in a minute, and all of this ties so deeply into that. One of the things I want to ask you, and I'll just say this about you too, like there is so much power in recognizing your own roadblocks and recognizing what's getting in your way of success and what's getting in your way of doing the things that you know you need to do. And I will say, like, you have been so good to be the person to raise your hand and just send me a text message or call me or send me a voice message and say, Chelsea, how would you respond to this message? Or what's in this product or whatever it is. You have not hesitated to raise your hand and ask those questions. And I've always said that, like that, as many mistakes as I've made along the way, like I can say that was one of my biggest strengths in the beginning, is that I didn't hesitate to reach out to Stephanie because I knew that I needed this. And I didn't need somebody else to reach down and pull me up. I needed her mentorship. I needed her leadership, but she needed me to raise my hand and say that I wanted it. and you have been so good about doing that. What else
Thank
would
you.
you
That's
say?
actually a terrible, I am never asked for help. So that is something that I'm like fully trying to let go of.
That's your growth edge. I love that. So
Mm.
besides your mindset, like you've obviously had a flip in your mindset, what would you say has tangibly changed? Like how have your conversations with people changed? How have your reach outs? How has your posting, like how has that tangibly changed since you've had this mindset shift?
I think I shared this with you before. I've I've been the opposite. This is going to be something that's going to take a minute to course correct. I'm the person that like deletes followers. Up until now, I'm so private. I'm so private. So I had a rule on my Instagram that if I didn't know you, um, or I wouldn't go to lunch with you, you couldn't follow me because it was like my babies were on there. And so that has been a shift. And I think one of the most tangible things for me is because I have so many friends that have seen me different through different phases. I've gotten multiple messages at this point now, like, girl, I don't know what you're doing, but like, I don't even know the word, but they're like, you're glowing. I've never seen you look like this. And so that's been helpful that even though they're not signing up yet, um, that there's an obvious change to people that know me regularly that can tell that like my spirit feels different. So that has been something that is good. As far as conversations, I've switched that. I went back and I've watched some of your old Zooms, and I'm like, I was the pilot that's like, I'm gonna do my best to land the plane so that we're all okay to like, this is a game changer. You need this. Let's go. And I'm doing better at like, I'm not for everyone, and this isn't for everyone. I got told no kind of harshly last night. We're good. We're moving on. There's other people who need this. It's taken me a minute to find them, but I'm done getting my feelings hurt and tiptoeing around if I am cringy. so, because I'm kind of cringy still. And it's going to take a minute. I feel like it's part of the process that I'm just trying to embrace.
So good. So good.
Can I just add to that real fast? Because Shannon and I did a Zoom call a couple weeks ago, and we talked a lot about this. And I'm here to tell you 2024 is my year of cringe because we need to, and we said this, right? Like this is something we talked about. We talked about this. We need to 100% just show up as who we are and what we do to get people who are not for us out of the way. And I think that over the last several years, we could probably do a whole other different call on this. I'm sorry, y'all, I got this notification thing on my computer. We're just in this era, you guys, of people are tired of being sold to. They're just tired of ads. They're tired of a lot of, I think, somewhat of the like the influencer culture. It's like just say the thing out loud, And I said this, sorry, my texts are going off. I said this to Shannon too while we were on the Zoom. I met a new friend group in my neighborhood over the last year and got invited to an event that they did with some other moms. And when I was asked what I do, I just said I sell probiotics. I've kind of learned over, and Shannon's like, you just told him you sell probiotics. I'm like, yeah, I said I sell probiotics. I mean, I do other things, but my main jam, like the main thing that's been my business that I've been able to retire from law enforcement and be home. This is what I do. And I said, December was 10 years for me. Wow. What is it? I find it easier. And I just started doing this in the last year or two to say probiotics, because when I say Plex, people don't know what that is, So, just say it out loud. Just say it. You guys, I'm sure maybe some of you feel like this. When I follow people online, and Chelsea, you could probably vouch for this in the Instagram world. Tell us what you're selling. Tell us what you're doing. Just say it. I hate the, comment below and I'll DM you and all that. We're
Yeah.
past, We're over that. And I'm not nowhere near an influencer. I don't have a big follow on Instagram. I don't consider myself a social media person, but I'm here to tell you, I am just tired of that, approach to what we do and us being lumped into that. So I just wanted to mention that. And also, Shannon, I am so proud of you. And I don't know, I wish I knew the formula, or I wish I could say this. Chelsea will vouch for it and so will Noel, because of how long they've been doing this. You see a difference in people when they turn that corner. When they turn that corner and go all in, it's okay if you don't know all the answers. You're going to find it. You're going to raise your hand. You're gonna it's okay if you're going to get somebody that says no. Those are the things you want, because those are the things that are going to move your needle in this business, and they're going to move your needle in your own leadership. You need all that. It's like you need those reps. You need the people to say no. You need the people to say, ooh, is this an MLM? You need the people to say,
That's
whatever.
literally what happened yesterday.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. Not your person. On to the next, So you need that. We need those reps in this, and we get scared and we feel weird getting that, but I'm telling you guys, that's where the magic is. I wish I could say, oh, this is what it looks like. Like, let's put this in a formula. I don't know exactly, because it's different for every person. You just come to this, I don't know, this resolute, like, where I'm all in, and everything shifts after that. Things just shift. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it, but things just shift when you're like, I'm all in. I'm tired of messing around. I'm telling people who I am, what I stand for, what I sell, what I do, and you will get your people. But you've got to have the guts and the heart to be able to get to that level. You do. So I applaud you, sister. I'm very proud of you.
Thank
And I know
you.
you're a very heart-based person, right? So,
Yes.
so we're not gonna
Yes.
we're not gonna absorb no's as rejection. We're gonna
Yes.
say
We're gonna keep working on that.
that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and I have a big fear of being rejected. And I had this feeling of like when I started like putting it out there, I told Chelsea, I was like, I felt so bold. And I thought I made this big bold post. And then you go back and look, and I'm like, nobody even knows what I'm talking about. But I had this moment and I went in, and some of my close friends were like pretty brutal. And not in a good way. They were like, what are you doing? I'm so worried about you. You need to stop posting. And I don't know why, but it like fully put me the other way of like,
Well, yes. So
watch
it's
me.
well, good. Yes, good for you. It's like, oh my Lord, I joined a cult, right? Like the reaction
Yes.
from. So
Yeah.
let me just say this. I don't know what leader, there was a leader in Plexus that said this years ago, and it's so simple, but it stuck with me. Just consider this. Anytime you get a message like that or a response like that, they don't know what you know. They don't know what you know. So it's really a lack of information on their part. And I'm sure some of them, maybe in the best way possible, were looking out for you, maybe because they've been, had bad experiences with whatever. And I don't know, or maybe it was just pure straight up judgment. Who knows? But I heard somebody say that a long time ago. They don't know what you know. And that really stuck with me. Yeah.
Wrote that down.
That's so true. That's so true. Shannon, I'm here for all of your energy and all of the growth. And this is truly, once you turn that corner, it truly is the beginning. It truly is the start, because that's when you live on the other side of I'm stopping caring what everybody, and not that you stop caring. We all care what other people think. But it's just that I'm not going to let it dictate my future, and I'm not going to let it dictate my choices anymore. That's when the real magic begins. I love that. Or are they just comfortable with where they're at? That's it. People are so, especially people that we've known long term, they are so uncomfortable with watching you grow past the version of you that they know, because it challenges the fact that they haven't grown. And that's really where the root of it comes from. It's crazy to me that strangers on the internet support me more than people I went to high school with or people who are in my family. It's because they cannot handle you outgrowing them. So thank you for sharing that with us tonight. You are amazing. And I love how kind of the stars aligned tonight between what you were talking about, kind of what was on my heart to share, And I got a voice message from one of somebody on our team today, just kind of asking me a question and kind of like this idea around like, how do I transfer energy? How do I start momentum in our business? And I had shared a podcast with my team earlier this week. Some of y'all have already watched it, so some of this is going to sound familiar. But basically the question was, why, what am I doing that the people that I'm signing, my customers, I'm getting VIP customers, or I'm getting people who are interested. What am I doing that the people that I'm signing or the people that I'm talking to or having conversations with don't have the same belief that I do, that they don't have the buy-in that I do, that they don't catch the vision of this? Why don't they think that it's possible? Why don't they catch the vision of this? And so I just want to briefly talk to anybody who kind of feels like they're in that space, who maybe feels like you aren't in momentum at the moment. If you feel like you aren't duplicating because how you are, because make no mistake that duplication and momentum are sisters, like they are tied hand in hand. This business is 100% about duplication. You cannot do this business on your own. You can come in and make a couple of $100. You can go senior silver, you can go gold by yourself. It is very difficult to go past gold on your own. You've got to show other people how to do this with you. And so I want to talk a little bit about that tonight and how to kind of generate that. And like I said, this is kind of loosely based on the podcast that I shared with my team earlier this week, but energy is transferable, period. Energy is transferable. And that's really what momentum is. Momentum is energy. Momentum is energy, and that energy is transferable to people. People are going to pick up on your energy, just like Shannon was just talking about. You can feel it through a screen. You can feel it through a post. You can feel it through a conversation. People are picking up what you're putting down. You will not attract a 10 if you are operating at a 5. So if you're looking for a level 8, a level 9, a level 10 business builder, somebody who has bought into this business 100%, if your belief is at a 5, or if your level of being bought in is at a 2 or a 3, you're not going to attract anybody higher than you. You're going to attract somebody at best at your same level or lower. So if you're finding that you're not attracting those people, either number one, you're just not having the conversations, or number two, you need to switch up your energy and you need to build your belief and build your energy. And when I say energy, I'm not talking about you need to come get on here and show up like Noelle. Like Noelle has a different kind of energy than I will ever bring to social media. I'm not talking about changing your personality type. I'm talking about how you talk about this business. There she is. How you talk about this business and how you transfer that belief into other people. And Shannon said this tonight on the call. Do you believe that you can do this? And y'all, I know how freaking corny that sounds. Like for the first 2 years I was in Plexus, I would get on these calls and I was like, I can't believe anymore, Steph. Like, I can't believe anymore. Tell me what to do. Give me the system. Give me the things that I need. Like this, all the rest of this extraneous. But the longer I have been in this, it's the intangible that is going to start the momentum for you in this. Are you in your own way in that way? Are you fully unapologetic about what you're doing? And I love how Shannon put it. You have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. It's not, I'm going to try this Plexus thing. I'm going to see how it goes. You have to decide that this is plan A. And I'm not talking about quitting your job. Like if you don't go out and quit your job. I taught school for 3 years while I did Plexus. We obviously needed that income while I was building Plexus. But in my mind, Plexus was my plan A. When I was on social media, when I was working behind the scenes, Plexus was it. You have to have that mindset because people are going to pick up on that. The thing I want to share too is you inspire action. This is one of the things that was shared in the podcast. And if you haven't listened to the podcast, I will share it with Noelle's team so you guys can listen to it. But I want you to write this down because this was so freaking powerful. You're going to inspire action in other people with your unwavering, and I'm using his words here. This is Craig Groeschel. You are going to inspire action with an unwavering, white hot vision to fulfill your mission. So the way that you are going to inspire action in other people is your own unwavering, white hot vision to fulfill your mission. And I think a lot of us undervalue the power of that vision and that, voodoo, pie in the sky, belief, vision. It is a real intangible thing. You need to know what it is that you're working towards. You need to know what it is that you're working towards. You're working towards diamond. You're working towards building a community of people who are going the same direction you are. You are building a community centered around financial freedom, a community centered around personal development. You are developing a team of women, a team of men who are breaking chains financially. You need to get clarity on what it is that you're building, and then know that you cannot share that enough. You cannot overshare that in your stories. You cannot overshare that energy with your people. You need to be clear on where it is that you're going and who it is that you're bringing with you. And my team has heard me say this 100 times the past month. You are looking for the 5 people who want that energy, who are clear on that same vision and want to run with you. You're looking for 5 people, y'all. The average diamond, Stephanie, isn't this the stat? The average diamond has 5 runners under them who are doing this business with them. They maybe have some lower level, leaders, but they have 5 people ultimately who have caught the vision of this and run with it. To go emerald, to hit the jewel level of our company, you need 3 rubies, you guys. 3 rubies, 3 people who are making a couple of $1,000s a month. That's what you're looking for. So this conversation of all these extraneous people who don't understand where you're going, who don't get your energy, who are worried about you or whatever it is, like they don't know what they don't know. The people who are meant to be on your train are going to get on your train, but you've got to show them the way. You've got to open the door and help them get there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of become my mentality these past couple of years. Like, I'm posting for the 5. Who is my next dream teamer and what does she need to hear from me so that she can join me, period. Like, she isn't going to join somebody who has a toe in the water. She isn't going to join somebody who posts once or twice a week. She isn't going to join somebody who's only talking about the pink drink. She wants to join somebody who is all in on this business, who's sharing team calls, who's sharing community, who's going to the events, who is changing their energy online. She's going to join the person who, just like Shannon said earlier, is glowing, because she knows that Shannon can take her there. She knows that you can take her where she wants to go. So that is my word for y'all tonight. And it's a tangible thing, but it's an intangible thing. It is a flip that has to switch inside of your own mind, inside of the way that you share. That is the X factor, period. That's the X factor towards bringing that person on your team. And one of the things that he shared in the podcast, and I love this because I've been working with a group, and I think everybody's on here tonight. We've been working really closely together, like daily mentorship, for about a month and a half. Momentum is the force that's going to propel you forward. It is your collective energy, your collective alignment. And once you get it going, it's easy to stay in momentum, but man, is it hard to get it started. And I just want to normalize that for anybody who is starting, who maybe is just starting to have those flip switch moments. The amount of energy and work that you're going to put in at the beginning of this thing is going to feel disproportionate to your results in the beginning. And that's kind of the like road of an entrepreneur, right? I remember when my dad was starting his businesses when I was in 2nd grade. He's a geologist. He's smarter than I'll ever be. And he was starting up his businesses, and he would leave the house before any of us woke up in the morning. He would come home for softball practice and eat dinner. He would go back to the office. He'd stay there till midnight. And he did that for years, y'all. Years. He poured hours and hours and hours into his business. And now he has 7 different businesses that he can drop into at the drop, anytime he wants to throughout the week. He has people who are seamlessly running those businesses for him because he put in the upfront work to learn, to put in the systems, to build the plants, to hire the right people to keep those businesses running. And that's the same thing as network marketing. The energy that you put in the beginning is going to feel like a disproportionate amount of energy. You are putting in hours of personal development, working like blood, sweat, and tears, writing these posts and getting out there on social media for a silver paycheck, for a senior silver paycheck, for a gold paycheck. And it's going to feel disproportionate in the beginning. But I promise you, when you are 8 years later leading a call like this of a team, and you get that check in your inbox that says you've made $10,000 in a month, you guys, it is going to be worth it. It is going to be worth it. Get the flywheel going. You've got to put in the energy now to get the flywheel going. In the podcast, he talked about it being like a rocket ship and how much energy it takes for the rocket ship to physically get off the ground. And then once it's in orbit, it keeps going. So I just want to encourage y'all, whether you're just starting your business, whether you're coming back and you kind of feel like you're getting back into it and you're like, gosh, this feels hard. Like, this feels heavy. It feels like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing something. I'm getting in there. I'm doing the work. That's normal. It's normal to feel that way. Get in there, do the stories, have the conversations, run the events, send the samples, do the personal development, do the spiritual development. I promise you, it is all worth it. And so, Steph, I don't know if you had anything else to add to that. That was kind of my spiel tonight, of just the intangibles of energy. People are going to feel that. You got to be willing to have the conversations, but you got to be willing to do the back work on the other side of it, because they're going to feel that in your conversations. They're going to feel it through your social media presence.
That's right. Yeah, I loved all of that. And I know Chelsea's heard me say this before, and Noelle's heard me say this before over the years. When I first came into this, I didn't understand the personal growth or like the mindset component I was going to need to do this business, to be an entrepreneur. I did not understand that. So in my mind, I was like, well, tell me, like, what calls do I need to show up on? What books do I need to read? What podcast do I need to listen to? What, whatever, like, just, I'm making a checklist. And I was doing a lot of that. And it was helping me somewhat. Like I was, having people join, and things were happening, but certainly not to the rate that I wanted. And then people would quit. And I didn't know how to combat that. I didn't really know I didn't understand the whole concept of really leading people in this too at the time. So I kind of coined this phrase for myself. I'm sure somebody else has said this, and I feel like I can make a t-shirt for our team that says this. I kind of started saying out loud, don't be a box checker in this. All the boxes need to be checked, don't get me wrong, but that's not what's going to move the needle in your business. And when Chelsea's talking about energy and the mindset and how you sit down when you send a message, when you respond to somebody, when you pick up the phone, that sets the tone for so much. Don't think people can't pick up on it. Don't think they can't feel that 100 miles away. There's so much truth to that. I don't know the science behind it, but there is. You guys, it's a thing. And I love that you said, Chelsea, like, I'm looking for the 5 people in this, because the first 5-6 years I was in this was like a fish in a barrel business to me. I was like, the more the merrier. I was looking for anyone who wanted to do this. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. However, nowadays I have no problem telling somebody this probably isn't for you. You could take our products. Our products are for everybody. But you linking arms with me to do business in this is probably not for you. I am so not. Noelle's laughing because we've had so many conversations and rage phone calls together where we were venting on each other about people that just were not a good fit for this. So I'm all about, I love the concept of 4 quarters versus 100 pennies. Chelsea and Noelle both are amazing leaders who have done such an incredible job and really recognizing the value of bringing in and pouring into the people that want to do this. Every single person on my team is a puzzle piece to my Plexus story. My Plexus journey will always be and continues to be, but there's a differentiating factor between those like yourself, Shannon, and every single one of you on this call, and those, because you guys are the ones that get on the calls and do all the things, right? Like, there's just such a difference between somebody who's like, I'm all in and I'm raising my hand. And I'll just tell you, I know there's some of you on here I don't know personally. That's a big thing for me. I need somebody to raise their hand to me to say, Steph, I need you. I need help in this. I need this. That's been a big part of my growth as a leader in this, is just being able to say to Chelsea, how can I support you? I'm here. Please don't think I'm aloof, just floating off in the background, doing nothing. I need you to tell me whatever you need help with. And I've said the same to Noelle. So we all have different personalities and different ways of meeting our needs and things like that. And that's just a big part of my leadership. It's raise your hand and I'm there all day long. So I just wanted to say that I love you all for those of you who have reached out, whether it's me or Chelsea or Noelle, those of you that continue to do the work in this and try to figure this thing out and find the best way that, you can really show up as your authentic self in here, where, it's you doing this and it just aligns with you, is what I'll say. When I joined years ago, and these guys could probably add a lot to that, it was a wild, wild west with people just selling stuff. I mean, I was literally told by people above me, just copy and paste what I post. And Noelle's ex-husband and I graduated high school together. So that was the connection that she and I had. And we have a lot of mutual friends. And I remember one of our mutual friends reached out to me one day, and this was like in 2015 or 2016. And she was like, does Plexus just tell you guys what to post every day? Because everybody, there was like 18 million people posting the same thing. And I was mortified. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Now, social media and social selling and all that has come a long way. But I just say that to say, like, as silly as that sounds, just be yourself, man. Just be yourself. Even when we give you scripts, as leaders, or we give suggestions, hey, or even with stories or whatever, make it your own. Because people in your network that know you, they're gonna know if it sounds like you or not. So such a great call and so much good stuff tonight, you guys. I could go on and on.
Hey, could I add in a couple quick thoughts?
Please, yes.
Turn this alarm off that's going on. So anyway, first of all, Steph, I love that you taught me that, because there was a time where I tried to drag people along, and now I'm not like that at all. People, you reach out when you need us, right? Like, I love that. And I remember reaching out to Steph all the time, being like, I don't want to bug you, but I need you, right? But that's what you have to do to get to where you want to go. But we were just at this event. We were just at a mastermind that people pay $18,000 to go to, that I was able to earn us a spot at. So we're around like really high level people, right? Like every person signed up for Plexus under Dan. They're like, what? That's so cheap, right? So if you ever need to like think of things in perspective, right? But one of the main things our mentor teaches is that you have to have the right energy. You have to go into it with the spirit and the energy of giving, because people can feel if you're going in it with getting, right? Like, I know, oh yeah, we all wanted an iWatch, or everyone wants the walking pad. That is an awesome thing to keep there, is like, oh, my little reward. But if each person you message out of service, like, you want to make $1 million, serve $1 million worth of value. And that's one of the greatest things that I love that our mentor teaches. Like, literally get in the spirit, in the energy of just giving and serving, and you'll be blown away. And I heard Chelsea make a comment earlier about how I am, right? Like, I pray about it. I'm a little different than most. Like, we went out in Vegas for 1 hour one night, and Dan and I have 5 people who are going to join our team, because the lady at the cashier was so sweet. And I'm like, do you want to join me? Like, I love your energy. I'm only taking people with good energy. But if you want to join me, you can. Make people feel really flippin' special. This woman is so excited. She's going to be my babysitter when I come to convention. She wants to join our team. Okay. Then we ran into another girl from Vegas who was like, yes, I'd love to join your team. But I always tell them I only take good energy people. But what I want to say was, when Chelsea said, not everyone will be like me, 9 years ago, I remember this month starting to share Plexus and standing in a store going, how do I start a conversation with people? Like, I had to work at it. I remember trying to do a live video going, what if I'm stupid? Like, I remember having all those fears. What if someone knows more about probiotics than I do? So it's like, you put in 4 years of college to get somewhere. You're learning way more in this, in doing this. But just know that not to define yourself as, I'm not that person. Because Dan Waller, who's right behind me here, he has told people and me that he's an introvert for the last 5 years. I want to tell you that I watch him not only walk up to every stranger and talk to them, and he's still telling me he's an introvert, but he cold messages influencers. He had like 3 calls next week set up, and he had a couple before we left with influencers on Instagram that he just reaches out to. He's still calling himself, and I'm like, you are not. And we had a couple people from this event message him saying that he spoke to their soul, that he made them feel heard and cared about. And these women are multimillionaires who had never felt heard and cared about. So don't pin yourself in a hole. Like, I'm not like, I mean, I'll say that. I say it too. I'm not like Chelsea. I don't teach as well as Chelsea. But I just jumped on a product call and I winged it. I wasn't like Chelsea. I didn't have all this stuff, but we signed up. The only person that got on signed right up for Plexus, and it didn't matter that I didn't have the perfect little graphics and, and the PowerPoint. And I looked at her and I'm like, do you want to earn a walking pad? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, good, because you have persistence and good energy. You're going to join us for more than the products. And I had no problem saying that to her. But like, if I were stuck in this hole of I need to be just like Chelsea, now, granted, there's some calls I'm going to have to prepare for and channel my inner Chelsea and get out of my comfort zone, right? So we all have to try and stand up and do some of the hard things and push our comfort zone. But you know, Chelsea's right. We don't all have to be like each other. So anyway, I loved this call, Shannon. You are a rock star. Everything you said was amazing, and it needs to be heard by everybody. So thank you.
Yeah.
So good.
And Noelle, thank you for saying that, because I've had so many people on our team say over the years, like, I'm not Noelle, I'm not Chelsea. And I'm like, no, you're not. And that's a great thing. Like, you are you, right? I feel like Dr. Seuss, like, you are you, and there's no one greater. What is that book? Like, there's no one greater than you. You guys, this is about finding your own way in this. And, you know, there's what I think is so cool about our team is Chelsea, Noelle, and I, and other leaders that we have on this team that aren't even on this call, all of us are so different. We are all so different. We in how we show up, how we communicate, you know, just all the things. And I think that's amazing, because I wouldn't want to be on a team of a bunch of the same, you know, copy and paste, you know, people. So I think it's awesome to have such a different perspective, and I really appreciate all of us being able to share that here tonight. And Shannon, I just want to echo that too. You're a rock star, sister, and so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And Noelle, I'm so glad you said that. I feel like closing up, it's about stepping into your own energy. It's about stepping into your own growth path energy. And as much as like Steph will talk about the Enneagram and talk about all of that, there's 100 different personality types, but people can feel it when you are on your growth path, when you are not in your stagnant energy, but when you are in your growth energy. And that's what this is about. It's not about having Noelle's personality. It's not about having Marissa Adams' personality or Melissa Eichenhorst's personality. It's about stepping into your energy and stepping into your own growth path and showing other people that they can do it too. So this was so much fun. Shannon, thank you for sharing with us tonight. And Noelle, I'll send you that podcast that I was referencing today. It's really, really good. And your team would love him. It's Craig Groeschel. He's got an amazing podcast.
Thank you, Chelsea. We would love, love, love that.
Awesome. All right. Everybody.
I appreciate you, Chelsea. You're amazing.
Yeah, love you. Love all of y'all. We'll see you next week.
Love you guys.